This is a story about an old person called Grandma. She was living alone after her husband died a few years ago. There, a young family in Midtown had sent their children to the grandma to help them care for their young children. They don't have any choice and went busy working outside, so they asked for the grandma's help. The grandma took care of the boy and cared for him since he was born. Grandma really loved the boy and treated him like her own kid. Even so, over the years, Pierre's mean streak began to develop in him. He often did something weird stuff and prank on the grandma. Once, he put the dead rat in her bed, and sometimes he put a fire in her closet. Regardless the grandma knew all the boy did, she just think he just being a playful child. And nothing will going to stop the love of the grandma to these children. The boy knew about all this and loved the attention that grandma had given to him. However, this all changed when the new baby has entered the house. The grandma could no longer spend any waking moment with the boy. And obviously, he really hated it. At one night, the boy had decided something awful as he took the baby and drowned the baby in the bathtub in cold and calculated way. When the family found the dead body of the baby, they were devastated. The mother inconsolable. They couldn't understand of how this could happen. Not until the boy spoke up and said that he saw the grandma had drowned the child. Grandma couldn't believe what she heard from the boy. The parents, not suspecting their innocent child could have done something like this, then immediately turned their grief and anger towards the grandma. They have sent her to the room and wait for the police to arrive. Hours later, she took her own life. She was completely heartbroken by the child's betrayal and lost the infant that she became overwhelmed with sorrow, and the only way out is to end it all. Decades later, and time had passed really fast. The boy had grown up into a successful businessman who ran his company with the strict rules, policy, bullying, and intimidation. He was disliked and feared by all who know about him, and he couldn't care less. He had married to a wife he rarely showed affection to, and they had recently had a child together. Interestingly, he loved the child with all his heart. On Friday night, a few weeks later, the police were called out to the man's residence to investigate the call they had received about someone screaming and being beaten. The man looked at them as they were a fool and told them to get off his property before he reported them to the commissioner for harassment. It was then the wife appeared at the door. Her face clearly beaten up and bruised. The man was shocked by this, but even more when his wife asked the policeman, "Sir, please help me, save the baby." The police, without a second thought, they were straight inside to check on the infant, and what they saw was too horrified to watch. The abuse that had occurred would scar them for the rest of their career. The baby was killed cruelly. The man was arrested and sentenced to the life prison without parole, forever left to rot in a cell. He wouldn't last long, for what happened to his kind in prison is indescribable. Not surprisingly, no one cared about what happened to the man, at least of all, his wife.
Do not forget to subscribe to Fat Animation. Yeah.